everybody. Yes, so the sanctuary flights continue. And they're the only flights that are on time. Last night, Florida Governor DeSantis sent 2 planes full of illegal immigrants to the progressive paradise known as Martha's Vineyard. Which makes sense. It's a vineyard, and those grapes ain't gonna pick themselves. I mean, I assume there'll be plenty of work on a vineyard. But I wouldn't know. I'm not allowed there, at least since Barack's birthday party. You should have seen his face when I jumped out of the cake. The G-string was a little much. And I was wearing one, too. But the coverage has been hysterical, as if sending migrants from a sweltering part of Texas to the most luxurious vacation spot in America, home to the likes of Obama, Larry David, John Kerry, is now somehow cruel and inhumane punishment. But maybe it is cruel. After all, you know who also lives there? James Taylor. Yeah, I know. I wonder if he has a comment.
Hey, migrants, you're gonna love Martha's Vineyard. I'd come join you, but my legs are injured. Larry David lives here, and Meg Ryan too. Obama loves it, and so will you. Hey, by the way, what happened to Meg Ryan? Woo, Martha's Vineyard. It's an island.
It's an island. Excellent. And since every liberal celebrity fancies themselves a sanctuary city supporter, why shouldn't they mingle with the migrants they championed from afar, right? I mean, it's pretty rich how the media refused to cover the border crisis as long as it affected Texas or Florida, because who cares? But now that the responsibility has been shared by force, they're deeply, deeply concerned, as are the Dems. Listen to these.
I think this is just political theater.
Treating people like political pawns.
Using migrants as pawns.
What's he looking for? He's looking for a headline.
Another disgusting and vile move.
These are people you're playing with. These are real live people with children and older people. And, we can work it out, but if you're going to be a bonehead, who wants to play with you?
Who wants to play with you? And they call this inhumane after ignoring the migrant drownings, multiple deaths in smugglers' trucks, overdoses from fentanyl coming through our border. So save your outrage, you gargantuan gas bags. You are just worried about losing the cheap labor that trims your hedges and your bikini area. I was speaking about Charlie Crist. Very clean down there. Yes, I am referring to all of those people in D.C. and New York who were beating their chest when Trump was president, saying they were so proud to be sanctuary jurisdictions. Right, Ron?
All those people in D.C. and New York were beating their chests when Trump was president, saying they were so proud to be sanctuary jurisdictions, saying how bad it was to have a secure border. The minute even a small fraction of what those border towns deal with every day is brought to their front door, they all of a sudden go berserk, and they're so upset that this is happening. And it just shows you, their virtue signaling is a fraud.
It is, brother. And I'm pretty sure the message is clear. We are not a sanctuary state.
Our message is, we're not a sanctuary state. We don't have benefits or any of that. There are some sanctuary jurisdictions, and that would be better. Now, what would be the best is for Biden to do his damn job and secure the border.
You're only allowed to applaud me. He can't hear you. That was tape. Drew, we wouldn't have to do all this if the government actually enforced the laws. After all, aren't they supporting policies that are frankly indefensible?
They are supporting policies that are just frankly indefensible. It is not defensible for a superpower to not have any control over the territory of its country, over the borders of its country.
Well, the logic is simple. States that have incentivized illegal immigration by supporting lax border policies should be made to feel the impact of their own actions. And given that they paraded themselves as sanctuary states, they should be overjoyed that they'll be able to better care for the migrants than these evil border states. It's perfect. You mock border states for complaining about the problem, then why don't you try being a border state for a while? Border states deal with millions of illegal immigrants. Meanwhile, sanctuary states buckle with hundreds. But I'm sure the administration is on top of that.
Does the White House stand by those comments that the border is secure?
What we stand by is that we are doing everything that we can to make sure that that we follow the process that's been put forth. That's why we have historic funding to do just that, to make sure that to make sure that the folks that we encounter at the border be removed or expelled.
Wow.
Painful.
That sounded like me when Dana caught me trying on her leggings. It's not my, hey, don't leave your bedroom window open. But maybe Karine needs the Kamala treatment. Some bongos, perhaps?
What we stand by is that we are doing everything that we can to make sure that that we follow the process that's been put forth. That's why we have historic funding to do just that, to make sure that the folks that we encounter at the border be removed.
Oh, bongos. But basically, oh, it's okay. Save it for later. Give some of that to Kimmel. But basically, a border state is making a sanctuary state walk the walk, which poses a problem for critics of Florida and Texas. How can you be upset that Florida or Texas is shipping migrants to your town if you feel that those red states are inhospitable and yours isn't? Isn't transporting migrants to your cities like Chicago or Philly a true act of charity or bipartisanship? Unless, of course, you think it's cruel to send them there, and you might be right. Migrants leave Venezuela for the U.S. only to realize liberal-run cities might be worse. They find that Philly is just Caracas with cheesesteaks. And Chicago is just Tijuana with more gunfire. And at least in Tijuana, they fire the guns in the air, not into your bedroom. So what of Martha's Vineyard? Even though it's a tiny island, the homes are huge. Small families like the Obamas own a multi-million-dollar home on the island with presumably many spare rooms. He could temporarily house some migrants, but please, no kids in cages this time. And think about all the time saved. The cheap labor will be right there on location, ready to set up the tables for Obama's next super-spreading birthday party. But the best part, what it's done to the phony politicians. The Munchkin mayor from Chicago called Texas sending migrants to her city both racist and unchristian. And this was right before she herself sent migrants from her city to a suburb. But doesn't this make her even more unchristian since she bragged about being a sanctuary city? I mean, you can't get more unchristian than saying there's room at the inn, and when folks arrive after a long journey, telling them there is no room at the inn. And you can bet some of those folks are named Jesus. Yes. Let's welcome tonight's guest. She can raise hell and the average IQ of our panel. Former Deputy National Security Advisor, KG McFarland. Like all great writers, he plans to become famous after his death. TV writer and producer, Rob Long. She's like a fruit fly, tiny, persistent, and always trying to dive into your Chardonnay. Fox News contributor, Kat Timpf. And he can lift your mood and the foundation of your house. My massive sidekick in the NWA's World Television Champion, Tyrus. Rob Long, great to see you and your beard.
Good to be here. Thank you. My beard's happy to be here too.
Oh, fantastic!
We're all ready.
Yes, I'm very. What I love about this is how upset the liberals and the Dems are getting because it's forcing them to cover illegal immigration.
Yeah, and it's also like not new. I mean, when I was living in LA, the mayor would send homeless people to Vegas.
Yes.
Mayor Bloomberg sent people to Miami Beach. There's a long tradition of sending people to resort areas. Right, so like this is another resort area they're sending them to.
It's actually last resort.
Well, no, it's not unusual to do this. It's actually something that people do all the time.
Right.
The problem really is that two problems. One is that these are people from Venezuela. They're looking for asylum. Venezuela is a pit because it was run by a socialist crackpot.
Right.
A social crackpot, by the way, that a lot of American celebrities and politicians liked.
Hugo.
So yeah. So my theory is we should take all those people from Venezuela, all of them, and return an equal number of the Americans who love Venezuela so much. Then they can be where I guess they wanted to be, and we can have like happy to be in America Americans who don't like that kind of government, and everyone's happy.
Yes.
So it should be an exchange program. It shouldn't just be migrants. We should send like Sean Penn, and people should be going back.
Right.
Great idea.
A socialist swap.
Why not? Like everyone should be where they want to be.
Yes.
These guys want to be in a land of freedom and opportunity, and a lot of these celebrities wanted to be in a land of socialism and crack pottery. Let them go.
It's a fair point to make that we have to understand as conservatives or libertarians that a lot of the people that are coming here are more conservative than we are.
Absolutely.
It's like to think that, oh, this is a big problem. No, these people are Eisenhower Republicans.
You bet.
Meanwhile, our Gen Z people, they can't even read. I've just made that up.
No,
I didn't know how to finish that sentence.
The people from Venezuela are Reagan Republicans.
Yeah,
they have suffered under socialism. They know exactly how bad it is. We should send the rest of them, like the entire political science faculty at Harvard should go back to Venezuela where they want to
wait, you went to Yale.
What?
You went to Yale.
Yeah, I went to Yale, so it's okay.
KT, they also sent migrants to Kamala Harris's house after she claimed the border was secure. That's pretty rich.
See, the real story here is nothing to do with humanitarian gobbledygook. It's the Democrats think they're going to get a lot of Hispanic voters. They're going to put them in the red states. They're going to give them citizenship. They'll be voters. And then the Democrats, who are tricky, but they're not very smart, they don't realize that what, in fact, they're doing is salting these states with Republican voters. They're pro-family. They work hard. They're small business workers and owners. They believe in all the stuff that the standard Reagan Republican believes in. So these stupid Democrats, so tricky, they're just bringing in, I think it's 4 million potential Republican voters that they've done in the last 2 years.
I'm digging that. You know why? Why? Tyrus, I've never met a woke Mexican. I've never met a woke Guatemalan. I've never met a woke Venezuelan. There's no wokeism down there.
Well, when you're escaping a third world country, you kind of miss the first world problems.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, they didn't participate. You know what I'm saying? And speaking of participate, I know this is off subject, but I have to congratulate you.
Why?
For affecting the Emmys the way you did.
Oh, thank you.
No, seriously. Gutfeld made the Emmys for Late Night Show our participation award. It was phenomenal. Nobody would take it. So enjoy that.
I will. Thank you.
That's a first world problem.
Yes.
That those other countries are like, what?
Yes.
So they don't like big government, really? So they will be voting Republican. The problem is, though, they're not going, those who are seeking asylum, I get it, but the general consensus is that our border is wide open and crossing over illegally is fine. And as long as that's the message, it doesn't matter whether they vote Republican, Democrat, or whatever, they're still illegal here, and it's not fair for those who are trying to do it the right way.
Yeah, I think Americans like two things. They like risk takers, which are often immigrants, but they also like process.
Yeah.
Like you can come, please just wait in line. Like we don't like it when people cut in front when you're in line buying tickets or whatever.
No chat and cuts in this house.
Yeah, exactly. It makes me very violent sometimes.
Well, America's favorite sport is football.
Yeah.
Little committee meetings, and then violence. And then little committee meetings, and then violence. That's what we are. So, like, you gotta have the meeting first.
Yes.
You gotta go for the process.
What do you make of this ploy? They're calling it a stunt, but the Democrats master stunt.
Okay, I mean, it is being done to prove a political point.
Right.
I mean, they're saying, hey, you say you want to take care of these people, here they are.
Yeah.
It's a political, but I also think it's ridiculous how they're framing a flight to Martha's Vineyard as like the worst thing these people have ever been through.
CNN compared it to the Holocaust.
They're fleeing horrific conditions. They're like, this is an outrage. But they've been talking about it this way the entire time, and a lot of it's been offensive. Like, these people are just clueless, helpless victims of a bus.
Yeah.
Like, why can they not decide for themselves whether or not to get on the bus? Because they're migrants?
Yeah.
That's racist.
Exactly.
Like, they're getting on the bus because they want to get on the bus.
Yes.
They're going to Martha's Vineyard because they want to go to Martha's Vineyard. I think it's another example of just seeing something and taking it way too far. You can call it political. It is political. They're making a political point. But they're not. These people aren't outraged and upset and crying on their flight to Martha's Vineyard.
No.
It's like the best thing that's ever happened.
I would get on that bus.
Yeah, like they can't figure out pull the cord to get off the bus. Like, for real.
Well, there is a story that there was a bus of illegal immigrants on the way to New York City.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to come all the way into the city because of the crime problem.
Right. There you go.
So not New York. New York State. Is there a nicer place that you can send us? Which I understand.
I want to make one last point, that the people that are actually living up to the concept of sanctuary are the same people that the left hate, and that's religious folks. It's the churches that are showing up and greeting these people and finding them places to live or finding them food and whatever. Yeah. It's not left-wingers. It could be, but it's the church. It's the people who cling to their Bibles that are doing the heavy lifting.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.